You're not making as much money as you want because you're not bringing in enough leads. And you're not bringing enough leads because you either don't know how or you don't have the tools to do so. So enter the Power Listings Toolbox. Let's get into it. My name is Andrew. Of course, you can call me Mongo, and I am a real estate agent and team leader out in Florida. I've done about 1,000 transactions in 10 years. And when we first started using this box, I'm going to be honest, I was a little bit skeptical about it because print marketing has never been a part of my business. But to our surprise, as soon as we started using it, we started seeing the leads come in. And what's really surprising about it is it wasn't just buyer leads. I'm going to show you exactly how to leverage every piece of content here that they give you, and make sure you stick around till the end because I may or may not have purposely put some of the best stuff right at the end. If you use this box properly, you are going to gain a competitive edge that you have never had before. You're going to help increase client relationships and help win listings that you may have otherwise not won. For those that are unaware, this is the Listing Power Toolbox that we get from being at LPT Realty. We get this for every one of our listings, and of course, we can order this for any other listing that we would like as well. If you're an LPT agent trying to learn how to leverage these, good on you. If you are not, and you're coming over here because you heard about LPT, maybe heard about this box, trying to figure out what the fuss is about, I applaud you for taking the time and keeping an open mind about this. I'm going to show you guys exactly how to use this, so let's get into it. First off, one of the things you can't see here that is provided with this is an individually branded website with its own phone number and text situation, so that when somebody does text you, it goes straight to your phone. And that's what a lot of these tools point directly at. So whenever they text you on any of these items that I'm going to mention here, it's going to take them to that individually branded website if they are a buyer looking at the property that you have for sale. There are 168 pieces here. Although I did hear that they bumped that up recently, I've not gone through here and counted every single piece of marketing that is in here, but there is a whole bunch. And there are variations of this box as well. There's power prospecting box, there's like a mailer box, and a bunch of other cool tools as well. But the main thing we wanted to focus on was right here in this box. And the very first thing that you'll notice as soon as you open up one of these boxes, which by the way, you can generally get branded to you. This one was the sample box it comes with as soon as you join the company. They send you a sample box so that you can see it and touch it, feel it, and have it for some of your presentations so that you can show it to your clients. Now, the first thing that you're going to see is a sign writer here. It's very simple, little laminated, basically piece of paper print with custom photos that you have uploaded into the system. So whenever you go to order your listing toolbox, it's going to ask you for 3 photos. Make sure that you also put in extra photos, remarks, things like that, because that's what's going to go into the individually branded website. And here in today's age, people are not wanting to call the agent right away. So that sign writer is great, but sign calls are few and far between. It's nothing like what it was 5, even 10 years ago, and probably even before that. I've only been in real estate for about 10 years, but sign calls used to be a lot more prevalent. But now people are wanting to hide behind the internet while they go and shop for homes. So this is a great tool to capture some of that information, give them an individually branded website and all of the information that they want, and it goes right back to you. What's really cool about this is while you're sitting there at a listing appointment, one of the things that we like to do is actually have the seller text this while I'm sitting there with them. Now, I do run a team, so I have an entire ISA department, internal sales agents that pound the phones. So as soon as they do that, what happens? My phone buzzes, I show them, and then I open up the individually branded website for a past sale that we have or something currently active. And they can see right then how quickly it gets to me. And what's really funny about that is as soon as this happens, they get a phone call from my ISA department trying to figure out if they are a buyer or a lead or what have you. And then I let them know that I'm sitting there with them and it was just a demonstration. So that alone instantly shows how quickly we're able to get to the leads. And then we start talking about speed to lead inside of that listing presentation. So not only is it a really good tool to attract buyers and people that are driving by the property, but also to show your sellers that, hey, we're on top of it. So I'm going to move fairly quickly through some of these and I'm going to go to the next one. Let me set this bad boy down right here. And the next little set here that we want to talk about are these business cards. So these are individually branded. Everything on here is going to have the photos of the home, the photos that you uploaded, the ones that you wanted on there. And then on the back, it's going to have all of my information or whichever agent ordered it, obviously. Now you'll see in some of the video that we're kind of showing, it says just listed on a bunch of these or just sold, what have you. You get to tailor that completely however you want. The color scheme you get to tailor. You can even do a custom luxury box that has some different tools in it and things like that. So keep all of that in mind as we're going through each of these. So with these business cards, these are pretty plain and simple. There's a couple of different strategies to use these for. One is just use them as your business card when you're going around for the next couple of weeks. If you're somebody that hands out a lot of business cards, you do a lot of networking events, this would be exactly what to do with it. And if you're into the recruiting side of it, what a great little tool to show other people that, hey, we're so dedicated to our marketing that it's even on our business cards. You can also use these at open houses. One of the things we like to do in our open houses is keep some of our business cards in the bathrooms away from where we are, because some people are just a little bit nervous about picking up a business card or talking to the agent and trying to get their business card, what have you. And if they see all of this great marketing, they go to the bathroom, they see one of these cards, they pocket it because they think it's kind of cool, and now they've got my information. And then of course you can hand these out at local businesses, which you'll see that is a recurring theme with a lot of these different tools here. So that's always a good tool. But my favorite way to use a business cards though is to take half of them for myself and say I'm going to be using these for the next week as I hand these out to people, and here's half for you. And my suggestion, Mr. Seller, is take these into your office, take them to your friends, hand them out, and just say, hey, if you guys know anybody looking to buy some real estate, please give them this so they can kind of give my house an opportunity. Your friends and coworkers are definitely going to want to help you, unless of course you've got that coworker at your office. Next up is the bifold business cards. Very similar thing, same type of information, but these are nice little bifolds. You can set them out. You can set them out at open houses. You can set them out at different businesses nearby. And I'll show you a really cool trick on which businesses to do kind of at the end. In fact, I think it's one of the last tools in this toolbox. I'll show you that little trick here. But it's cool. You can put these at open houses or wherever you want. It's got the information on there. Hey, just listed, some pretty pictures. Here's all of my information. It's got the address. And then on the other side, it's got this same text code as before, so that if somebody does text it, we know exactly which marketing piece it came from. And of course, which house it's going to. This next tool is the one I am most excited to share with you guys. I was going to put it at the end and hope that people that stayed long enough would get that value right at the end. But I threw this smack dab in the center for you. This tool is the most underutilized tool in this box. This is the one I hear most agents saying, like, what do I do with the thank you cards? That's what it is. A thank you card with the, of course, the house on it, just like everything else. Your branding, just a little bit on the back, nothing too crazy. And then it's blank inside. It also comes with envelopes, so you can send these out. Here are some of the strategies that we use with this thank you card, and some of you guys aren't going to like this, but it does work. It's wildly effective. So first and foremost, if you hold a broker open or something like that, these are great to hand out after the fact. If you're kind of more on the recruiting side or you're trying to build a downline, you can always send these to people. Hey, thanks for showing this. Send it to their office. It's just kind of a nice little touch there. You can also do the obvious and send a thank you card to open house visitors, especially if you're using one of the electronic tools. We have open house tools and stuff like this in our CRM, as well as in listing power tools that they can sign in electronically, and you can ask them for their address. And then you can always mail the visitors a thank you note. Or you can keep some of these for after the sale goes pending for all of the cool tools that you go and drop off at different businesses. You can go ahead and grab these, write a nice little handwritten note inside of it, and hand it off to each of those businesses and just say, hey, just wanted to say thank you for, allowing us to put our bifold business cards here. It did help. We got the house sold. We really appreciate you assisting, and I'm sure the seller's happy about that too. P.S. If you know of anybody looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, please consider us. My card is inside. And then, of course, put one of your cards inside. And, of course, once it closes, you can send one of these to the agent on the other side and just kind of build that brand awareness or build that portion for your downline if that is something that you are interested in, particularly if you had a great deal with them and you're like, hey, this guy or gal would be a great fit for LPT Realty. Well, here we go. And of course, if you did open houses and you're already sending these out to potential buyers of it, you can also do this to potential neighbors. Because one of the biggest things with this box is attaining more listings. It's actually more of a listing attraction tool than it is a buyer tool for a lot of the little tools that are in here. And I kind of already mentioned sending these out to potential buyers at your open house, but I would also do the same thing with the neighbors also. They came out, they were just looky-looing or whatever they wanted. They just kind of wanted to see what the house was about. These are great to send to them. It shows that extra little touch, and it could potentially be the differentiating factor for them calling you whenever they need to actually sell their property. And you can always send this to any vendors that helped throughout the process as well. Maybe your handyman went over there and had to do some work, or a roofer, or what have you. You can always send these to each of those, although that's a strategy we haven't really implemented. I don't know how well it would work, but it seems viable enough. But the really sneaky ones, the ones that I know you guys might not like as much, here's what I suggest. I suggest you keep 4 of these. There's a whole stack of them. I don't even know how many are in here, but I would keep at least 4. Do some of the other strategies with everything else, but keep 4. And here's what you do. Post-close, you send one to your seller and send one to the buyer that purchased the home. Now, I know this is the part where a lot of you guys are going to go, well, that's somebody else's client. Please remember that the moment that home has closed, that person is not tied to anybody anymore. All contractual obligations are completely over. So why not send them a nice little thank you card? So here's a little statistic I want you guys to keep in the back of your mind. 91% of real estate agents never, ever, ever contact a client ever again after the sale. 91. That means there's a 91% chance that person is going to go unrepresented unless they proactively reach out to their agent when they need to sell down the road. We call this orphaned buyers. I will do an entire class on our orphaned buyer program. This stuff is extremely impactful, but this is a really good way to start. And you keep 2 for them. You keep 1 for post-close and you just say, hey, thank you so much. I was a listing agent on the other side of this deal. If you ever have anything, I've lived here my whole life or I've lived here forever. We've got tons of vendors. We've got lots of discount codes. We've got a marketing newsletter. Whatever you want to put in there and make that little touch. And I would suggest you actually hand it off in person because, well, there's some extra little tricks, but I'm going to save those for an orphaned buyer class that I'll be doing a video on later. But Mongo, you said grab 2 of them for the buyers and the sellers, so I'm keeping 4. What about the other 2? Well, the other 2, you go ahead and write in them right then and go ahead and close them up, put a stamp on it, and put them in a folder for 1 year from now. So you can just keep a little Rolodex style folder, January, February, March, April, May, et cetera, et cetera. And then if you close in February, you write this little note, put it in the put the little stamp, put everything in there, and then slide it right there in the February. So next year when February comes around, you pull out that folder and go and send these out for all of them. For the seller, you're simply going to send this out 1 year later, just as, hey, can you believe it's been a year? Really appreciate your business again. Just wanted to say thank you one last time. So 1 year later for the buyer, when we're sending this out, again, remember that statistic, 91% of buyer agents are never contacting their person again, and 25% of buyers actually use the same agent when they go to sell their home. And that means that a lot of times they're reaching out to their agent. So why not try to get that business, right? So now it's been a year. You just put in there, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I can't believe it's been a year. Thank you again for purchasing one of our listings. I hope this house has turned into a home for you by now. Please remember me if you guys need anything, vendors, painters, contractors, et cetera, et cetera. All of my information is in my business card attached to it. So this just adds another little touch you can get. And if you create an entire orphan buyer program, this is a phenomenal way to get listings. It will just take a little bit of time. So if you're in real estate for the long haul, this is a really good tool to do. It might not pan out for 2, 3, 4, 5 years later whenever they're selling that home, but you never know. Maybe they've got friends and families. A lot of the people that we do the orphan buyer program on, they don't even remember who their agent was. In fact, I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with an orphan buyer that they think I was their agent the entire time because the agent that helped them out just never reached back out and eventually they got forgotten. So really cool tool. The handwritten notes are so powerful. It is a really big strategy. There's a reason why people like Brian Buffini have built an entire business off of just handwritten cards. Because they work. Handwritten notes work. It's personalized and it definitely makes you stand out from the crowd and it shows that extra bit of effort which tells people that you actually care. Next up is a postcard. So now these are pretty self-explanatory. It is a postcard. There are several different ways you can do this. You can canvas the neighborhood with these that you're actually selling the property in. As we all know, whenever one property sells, generally another one comes up within about 3 to 6 months of that house going up on the market. And that's because sellers see the house and they go, ooh, so-and-so's asking so much for their house or X amount for this house. We can definitely do the same. And we're in that window to start selling. So we're going to go ahead and jump on the market as well. So these postcards are great for exactly that, just canvassing that neighborhood to show them, hey, we've got phenomenal marketing. Give us a call. But if you don't want to use it in the neighborhood that you've got the listing in, let's say you've got a farm. You actually have a farm somewhere. You can use these to send out to your farm, even if it's in a different neighborhood or even a different city. Another great tool to show how customized we are and how much effort we put into marketing. Another really good tool for this is actually sending this out to your sphere of influence. So you can send these out to your friends and past clients to show them, hey, you know what the heck you're doing. And it's just a nice little touch for them to remember you the next time that somebody happens to mention that they want to buy or sell real estate. You can also send this to any of the businesses that you drop stuff off. In the back, there's a small little square here. You can write something in there, and you can write just something that says, hey, thank you so much for allowing us to drop our marketing pieces. It did help. We've got this house under contract. If we can ever do anything for you, please let me know. And then, of course, it's got all your information on here. So anybody that might be interested in that, well, they might call you. The big thing with these touches with the businesses, because I get a lot of kickback on this, like, what is this really going to do? Is anybody going to walk into a coffee shop and actually pull some of this? First off, yes, it actually does happen. Second off, it's more about the connections you're having with the businesses. You're getting out there and you're showing your value. You're going to the barista. The owner is seeing you. The manager is seeing you. And so whenever they have a need, they could very well, and it does happen, reach out whenever you're dropping something off and go, hey, by the way, do you help over in Destin, Florida, or, in the next city over, or do you help people buy as well? And that starts a conversation, and boom, you've got a buyer or a seller, depending on the situation. There's two more really cool tactics that I like doing with these that you can also kind of intermingle with some of the other things that we're talking about, is you can send this out to just absentee owners and actually send it out to the owner of the property. That's an absentee owner, is somebody that owns a home here, but they don't live in it. This is public record. It's in your property appraiser's site for most counties. Or your public record, depending if it's not in your property appraiser site. But you can pull up that list. Most property appraiser sites are super easy. You can even go absentee owner list. It's a little button you can click, and it'll even print out all of the addresses and things like that. So you can send this out and say, hey, I know your house currently has a tenant in it, but should they ever leave or you get tired of renting it, just wanted to let you know we just sold this thing for, X dollars above market value, or, the highest price per square foot in the neighborhood. Just something unique you can put on there. I know that's kind of a lot to put in this tiny box, so obviously use a little bit of brevity and shorten it. Another really good thing you can do is that same list, instead of sending it to the owners of those properties, you can actually send it to the absentee houses. Most likely they're sitting there with a tenant, and you can put there right on the back, hey, I know you're currently renting. We just sold this house for $334,000. That would be a payment of $1,800 or what have you. And then you can put that all on there. If you're interested in, not paying somebody else's mortgage, paying your own, call me, right? So another cool little add-on in there to get some extra renters that might be interested in purchasing a property. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the market report. This is something that you have to actually hit the extra little box when you're in the Listing Power Tools app to get this. If you do not click that, you will not get it. We did not get it on our original one. This is a flip property, or it needed to be flipped. That we have. So this does look different than some of the pictures, in case you guys are like, hey, what happened? The pictures all of a sudden changed. So very, very cool tool. When we set this up, we didn't set it up right. This is why I'm telling you that you guys need to make sure you go in there into the property website and do it right. Because when you open this up, generally there is a list of lots and lots of cool things in here. This is the market report. It's a little bifold, lots of great information. But here it'll tell you how close the nearest airport is, hospital, coffee shop, et cetera, et cetera. Again, we didn't set this up right, so what you're seeing on the screen is not the proper way to do it, but it would be a great little map zoomed out and showing each one of these areas. That is the reason why you want to use those areas or those businesses to drop your tools off. Because when you go in there with this and you say, hey, we've got this house we're selling right down the road, and we notice that you guys are the premier coffee shop or the premier hospital, whatever it is that you're dropping it off, the closest library here, it gives you that extra little bonus because they see this. The business owner sees this and goes, oh, wow, you did that like dedicated. Like, that person is probably going to use this gym or this dry cleaner because it's on this market report that is going out. And so they're going to just be a little bit easier to work with and dropping off some of your tools on their cork board or on their counter or what have you. Make sure you get this. This is a really cool tool. It's also really good to drop off at open houses. And of course, you can always let other agents know if you want to keep this at the property. Hey, let your buyer grab one of these if they're even semi-interested in the house. Even if it's not their favorite right now, go ahead and let them grab this and take it home, because you never know, they might change their mind. It might be sitting at their coffee table and they go, maybe we should look at this house again. Next up is the large flyer. There's a large flyer and a small flyer. This one doesn't have as much white space on it. And it's really just kind of a leave behind flyer. We leave this at the house. We leave it for the open house. So any buyers that went to the house, they can grab it, or the agents, even if they kind of see that and they're like, oh, hey, this is kind of cool. Just showcases off the marketing a little bit. It's just a great tool for somebody to kind of grab and take home with them. And everything in this, by the way, I did not mention this earlier. It's all high quality, like cardstock style paper, none of this cheap stuff. So it definitely looks solid. Since we're just talking about the large flyer, let's talk about the small flyer. Real small, empty on the back. I love that it's empty on the back because handwritten, as you're seeing a theme, everywhere I can handwrite something on here, that's what I'm doing with them. But another great tool you can do these is leave behinds, very similar to the large flyer where you leave them in the house, you leave them for open house guests, you leave them for buyers and agents. There are a couple of other ways to use this that I like just a little bit better. One is you can go to businesses and put these on their cork boards. These are perfect for any place that has a cork board, your library, your, the YMCA or what have you, any of those places, even your coffee shops. It's bigger, it stands out a little bit more than the business card, and it's just a little bit more eye-catching. But another great way to utilize this is to send this out to any agents that have sold in that neighborhood. You can actually mail this and put just a little note on the back. Hey, Stephanie, hey, John, saw that you sold a house here in Woodland Meadows. We just got this house listed. It's on the market. If you have any extra buyers that maybe missed out the first time when you were selling your home, please think of us, or please think of this home. And you can also hand this to your seller, very similar to what you did with the business cards, where you hand it to them and you say, hey, hand this out to your friends and coworkers. I would do the exact same thing here. And the next tool is the door hanger. What's really cool about this is if you're about to go, I'm not listening to this, bozo. I do not want door hangers. I don't want a door knock, what have you. You can just leave these behind. You don't actually have to hit the door, but there is a second strategy. You can actually cut this off right here where it changes color into the secondary color that you chose, because you do get to choose the entire scheme. We've got the blue and black version, but you can cut this off and it fits perfectly in an 8x11 envelope and you can mail them out. And hey, guess what? They're empty on this side, so you can write notes on them. So let's talk about some of the ways that we utilize these. Obviously, if you're going to canvass a neighborhood, you're going to door knock the neighborhood, these are an outstanding thing to leave behind. But here's a really cool thing that we like doing with it. We like to throw it out to the entire neighborhood and we write on the back. We do this before we head out, so we're not writing at each one. And we just write, Dear neighbor, we are doing a neighbors only open house. The seller will not be there. Make sure that's like underlined in capitals or something like that, that it really gets their attention. The seller will not be there. So feel free to come by. We'll have a wine and cheese tray or whatever you happen to be doing. And then pair it with an open house that you're already doing. If you're doing it from 2 to 4, do the neighbors only from 1 to 2, or you can just do a neighbors only in general. And what this does is it gives you a dedicated time to know that every single person that's walking through that, whether it's 1 or 15, they're all neighbors nearby. And they're watching. You're auditioning right now. So even if they're not looking at selling right now, keep in mind 91% of agents never talk to their people again. So there's a good chance that if they need to sell, if something happens in their life or they decide that they want to move, they're going to need somebody. And if you come here hot with all of this different stuff, you just invited them to a neighbors only open house, you're there chit-chatting with them, building rapport, there's a high likelihood that they're going to take one of these pieces and keep it on their fridge or keep it on their coffee table until such time that they need your services. And if you want, you can even pay your child, the seller's child, any kid that's in the neighborhood, 50 cents a door, $1 a door to drop these off for you, then you don't even have to do it. And very similar to one of the other tools we mentioned is dropping these off at absentee owners. Again, or not at the owners, but the actual house that is absentee, so you know it's being rented. You can go in and look up each one for the entire neighborhood that are being rented, and most of them are going to be in your multiple listing service that are rented out, or at least a good chunk of them. And you can even put on there, hey, I know you're renting, you're probably paying over $1,800 a month. Did you know that this house, the total mortgage interest and total mortgage insurance and taxes rather are underneath that. If you ever become interested in purchasing instead of renting, please give me a call. You can write that all on the back, have it all done ahead of time, and put each one of the addresses on there so you know which ones to drop at each one. And that's if you wanted to make it that personalized. You can just make it very templated. Hey, I know you're renting right now. This house with mortgage and everything would be X dollars. If you're interested in something like that, or you'd like something that fits your budget, please let us know. Now, I've got one more really big tip for you that I wanted to save until the end. This is actually not part of that. This is a different tool that we get. You do have to buy these separately here at LPT Realty. Comes with a whole bunch of fun stuff in it. But what's really cool about these is that it has all of the tools in here. This is the active marketing plan. This is kind of see it, it's very thick, professionally bound, has your photo on here, all of your information. And you can change this, and again, color scheme, you can change your photo, you can do it closer up if you like that. what have you. But what we like to do with this is we actually use this in conjunction with our listing presentation. So sellers love seeing this stuff. Again, as I mentioned at the start of this video, I was very, very hesitant with print marketing in general, but now that we've been using it and watching business come in from it, in fact, we just had a girl on our team that started doing these, passed 2 of these boxes out, and unfortunately she had to move to a different area of Florida, so she eventually had to leave the team. But because of those boxes and making the connections with the businesses and things like that, she got 2 clients from it, from 2 boxes. If you can get 1 extra person per box, that's outstanding for a little bit of extra work. But anyway, listing presentation. We like to bring this with us. And then we like to take each one of these tools that we talked about and we put it in the page. So when I'm prepping for the listing, I open this one up and I go, okay, flyers. I grab the flyer and I set it in here. And then I go, okay, cool, small flyer. I set that one in. Large flyer, set that one in. Business cards, I set that in. Thank you cards, we set that one in. There's a whole presentation on how to do this in our listing power tools. So it's got all this great information that you really just kind of listen to. I'm not going to go through all of that now, but whenever we're talking about it, we go through our normal listing presentation, then we go, now let's talk about some of the print marketing we do for those people that want to see everything. We actually pull this bad boy out and we just go through it. And we're like, hey, we're going to leave this with you. It's got everything that we talked about reaching the 14% and da-da-da-da-da. And as we start going through, we go, oh, hey, this is an example of one of our door hangers. This is one of the things that we're going to be doing for you. This is an example of one of the postcards that we're going to be sending out. Hey, this is the market report, the neighborhood report, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they can actually use it. They can actually see it, touch it, feel it as you're going. So instead of bringing this whole big box, which I was never a really big fan of, now we've just got each one of the tools inside of this. So we're taking this with us with our presentation so that we can slide that and they can have a little bit of an example of everything that we're doing on their behalf. Whew, okay, that was a lot. I know it's probably like drinking from a fire hose. As I mentioned before, if you're an LPT agent and you're trying to figure out how to use these, I hope this was really helpful for you. Please, if it was, let me know down below. Just write me a little comment. Let me know that we're on the right track with this stuff. If you are thinking about coming over to LPT or you're seeing this going, holy cow, like, can I duplicate this, what have you? Or you just want to consider your options and see what else is out there, I would love to chat with you guys about LPT Realty and why I moved my $50 million producing team over here and got a resounding yes from every single person on the team. And it's been 1.5 years now, so we haven't been here forever because obviously it's only a 2-year-old company. And we're absolutely loving it. The tools are great. The leadership is outstanding. So anyway, if you're curious about that, all of my contact information is on the screen. There's also a Calendly link in the description below and all of my information in the first comment. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.